So on the 46 Dodge, I'm working on these supports for the hood, and I'm connecting them onto the nose, and I'm going to put maybe a couple little braces down in there and something on the end over there by the firewall to connect those two together. And then I have to do the same thing over on this side and then put something over top to join those together. And then I'll put my hood on and I'll put a bunch of little flanges and some studs on the hood, and I'll shim everything out and get it so that I can lift the hood up and down and have it permanently connected onto the nose, and then I'll weld my piece between the nose and the hood. Okay, so I welded that nut plate onto that one piece front end frame, and I got that other piece. I'm going to lay that on top of there, and I'm going to use that as a bolt plate to connect up onto the hood so that I have 2 5/16 bolts on the hood up there near the cab. Okay, so I got the 2 tubes coming up. Should have done a little bit better job fitting that lower tube that goes down and onto the one piece front end up where it connects on the other tube. It's a really difficult fitting job, and I didn't do a very good job at it. But I'm going to throw a tube in between those 2 tubes right in here, and it's getting really stiff now, and I'll probably throw a tube back in here and then something diagonal, maybe a piece of 1/4 inch broad, and that'll really stiffen it up real nice. So I welded that other piece in vertically, and that really stiffened it up, and I don't think I need any more supports on this at all. Seems pretty good. I can pretty much move the whole front end. I do want to get one piece somewhere over in here, joining in front of where I'll have a scoop. I can't have one in the back because the scoop will be in the way. So hopefully this will be enough support. I got 10 bolts holding this hood on this front end, that's the way they did it back then. I mean, most of the bolts are over here inside the nose. I guess they tried to keep the body line tight, and it seems like if I take the bolts out, then the body line doesn't look as good. So that's what I'll have, 10 bolts holding the hood on. So there's the hood on over top of the frame, and it fits, which is a good thing, because that hinge goes in about anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to about 1 1/4 inches. So it would hit something if I went straight from tube to tube, straight up in the air. And I'll show you the inside. And there's the inside. You can see that hinge there right between those 2 tubes. And I think once I get some supports onto this hood and get the hood connected to the nose, this thing's going to be really stiff. Okay, so there it is with both sides on. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some strings across the top of this thing and figure out where I can put the piece that goes from here to the other side in front of the scoop. And then I'll see if I'm going to put something from here to there. And I may connect from here to here. And that'll be the end of it. Then I'll connect the hood, and I'll make some connections for down here to connect this onto the hood and somehow bolt it on so I can bolt everything in place and then do my welding after it's all bolted and the body line's good. So I keep changing my mind on what I want to do with this thing, and I put these strings on here and put the scoop in, trying to figure out where I can work at and where I can't. And the scoop's going to of course be up another 6 or 8 inches high, and I'm thinking I'm going to take this piece of tubing and I'm going to cut away at the cab up on top there and have that tubing come around like this and down onto here. So it's going to go around, so I'll end up with something in back of the scoop, because I really didn't want to cut all my hood away from in back of my scoop. And then that'll let me tie this corner to the other corner, and whenever I lift the one piece front end up off the cab, then I'll have something holding the hood up in the middle, because there's going to be almost no metal over there. There'll just be 2 separate pieces right here, one on each side. So I think that's the way to go. I don't know. I'm going to try that and see how that feels. See if it stiffens this up. Okay, so I took the put the hood up in the air, and I went and I chopped that piece out of the firewall, and I'm going to take 1 inch off of the outside of it and put it in the middle. And what that'll do is that'll make this firewall symmetrical, and then I'll be able to get a piece of 3/4 inch tube all the way around that scoop in the back in there. Well, it looks like my cut could have went a little straighter. Looks like I'm kind of slanted there. Well, do your best and fill all the rest of it, right? Okay, so the only part I have to cut now is up on the top there. I'll have to take that lip off, and you can see I did some surgery there, and I'll put it back together, and I have to make a piece with, find another bead like that. I think I have a piece from the floor I can use. Okay, so you see I made a piece of metal out of the floor that I had. It has the exact same bead on it. Has the same rust pits in it. Should match perfectly. I cut it a little crooked to match the other crooked cut I made, and now I got to do is weld all that together and then cut the top out so that I can get that piece of 3/4 in there. So I cut all that material out in front of the vent and in back of the scoop. You can see I have a piece of 3/4 inch tube in there. Should be able to have about 1 inch of hood in back of the scoop now, and weasel that piece of 3/4 over to the side over here and connect it on each side so that both the fenders are connected on top, which I was really after, because when you put the hood up, that'll take a lot of the shake out of the thing, and that should give me a pretty good nice stiff hood, and that gets the scoop where I want it, and everything should work out really well. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Take it easy.